So welcome back. I've got my co-host with me, Winston, and we're back in the office because the birds, well, they're just being jerks. Sorry about that. The audio wasn't great outside. I was trying to, remove a bit of echo. So why would you ever deliberately wait for a 2022 Bronco? Or why should you be happy if you're forced into a 2022 Bronco? Well, really simply put, it comes down to quality, options, and colors. So let's jump right in and cover all of that. Well, here it is. It looks like Ford is going back to an ancient recipe for marketing cars and trucks. It's not that ancient. Back in the 1960s, automobile companies had really exciting colors. So that was pretty cool. From one year to another, they could really bring out some new colors with some punch, with some flair. And from one year to the next, that it could actually, offer you some special editions. I'm thinking back to, a Super Bee, a Roadrunner. So, they'd offer really cool stuff for a year or two, and it gave you a reason to really be excited going from, a 1966 to a 1968. Now, for the last few decades, what's been historically going on for the last few decades at automakers? Well, from one year to the next, the big change is going from, you could say, medium gray to plus 3% darker. So not all that exciting. Now, of course, you're going to tell me that, I'm completely wrong, and you're probably going to reference the mid-model change. If a model is going to be out for 5 or let's say 8 years, usually on the 3rd or 4th year, they're going to spruce up the model. They might change the bumper slightly, or the grille, or the lights, or the hood. And if you're really lucky, they do all of those. But essentially, the vehicle does stay mostly the same. So I guess I could let him fall asleep. Now, we've seen this before. I can recall a point when we went from charcoal gray to magnetic gray. And really, I think there was about a 3 to 5% change in color. So, what exactly is in store for the 2022 Bronco? Why should you be okay with being pushed into a 2022, or why should you wait? Maybe you want to ask your dealer to push you to a 2022. But there are going to be some really important things you're going to have to remember doing if you do ask to be pushed to a 2022. Quite simply put, what's going to happen is you'll go from a code 10 to 19. As I've said in previous videos, when a dealer gets you a priority code 10, that's the highest priority a dealer can give. And if you get a code 99, it means you're going to be pushed into the next year. It means they can't build it for you this year. Now, however, really important that we don't forget this. If you do get a code 99, if you call your dealer and say, push me until next year, remember, you do keep your place in line. You're going to be one of the first 2022s built. And very important, make sure to call back the dealer once we have confirmed colors or special models or editions, you could say. Make sure you call them and make the change. Otherwise, if you forget all about it, well, they're just going to build you your 2022 Bronco just like a 2021. But here's what's up and coming. You're going to get a new yellow. We might get a new red. And we're pretty certainly going to get at least one green. And the green looks amazing at the end of the video. I'll give a little snapshot of that. That was mentioned by a really high up at Ford, so we're definitely getting at least one green. But for special editions, what might we be in store for? Well, we might get a Heritage Edition, which would mean a beige top and beige mags. We're definitely going to get a painted black hardtop. And we might very well get a white hardtop. There's even a small chance, I'd say, that we get a white grille and a whitish interior like we saw in the original media releases. The videos of the walkarounds of a Bronco. Now, I don't think this is by accident. I think that probably early enough on, Ford realized that there was an issue at the Webasto factory, and there was also going to be an issue for how many Broncos they could produce versus the 125,000 orders that they received. And, it's just really smart marketing actually to be in a situation where you need to increase production. How do you increase production? Well, you offer less options. Less options, they come out of the factory faster. You're tinkering around with things less often. And by offering new models and options, you also know that, hey, some people are going to gladly wait. So part of your 125,000, when you can only build, let's say, maybe 50,000 or maybe 90, well, some people are going to choose a 2022. So the problem kind of resolves itself. I've done whole videos just on this, so I'm not going to go more into detail, but it does kind of go into the earlier news when we're talking outside. Big media sources took the math behind this a little too simply. Right now, Ford is building 300 Broncos a day. They multiplied that by 5.5 months and the number of days, and they figured, hey, Ford's going to build 50,000 Broncos for customers. They've got 125,000 orders, so they figured, simply put, you can't have a Bronco for the next 2.5 years. They're all sold out. And like I mentioned outside, it comes down to dealer allotments. There are some very few dealers who will still have 2021s that they can sell and get built because Ford promised them, let's say, 30 builds. Well, if they've sold 28 of those builds, they still have 2 2021 builds. And it also means that they haven't sold out their 2022s because those dealers, it's not as if Ford's just going to say, oh boy, we sold 125,000 Broncos, and let's say pretty much all of them are in big cities. They're not going to have states that only the one major city in that state, that's the city that's getting Broncos and no one else is getting Broncos. No, the Broncos need to go all over the country. So allotments are extremely important. And this is why you need to consider the soft top. So here's why you'd maybe not switch for a 2022. If you really want your 2021 as soon as possible, well, obviously you don't want a 2022, you're impatient, or you want to do really cool videos with the Bronco off-roading like I want to. Obviously, don't switch to a 2022, but you need to consider the soft top because let's make the math as simple as possible. Ford's making 300 Broncos a day. And, back to the media release, they might actually and almost certainly will start making in the near future more than 300 Broncos a day. So we can't just assume they're going to make 50,000. They could make as many as 90,000 if they, more than at some point started to double production, sometime soon started to double production. I don't think they'll get that far. I think, they'll probably kick it up to 400 or 500 a day. But for 2022, 600 a day, I think could be very possible, but we'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, Ford's making 300 Broncos a day, and Webasto, the hardtop company, is making between 40 hardtops a day to a maximum of maybe they can get it up to 100. Well, the math just doesn't work because simply put, 30% of all Broncos are two doors, which means they're hardtops. And of the 4 doors, the remaining 70%, so the remaining roughly 90,000 Broncos, well, about half of them are going to be people who have asked to have been hardtops. So you've got about 75 or 80,000 hardtops that are needed. You break that down into days and we see that every single day there just aren't enough hardtops. In other words, Ford can make a whole lot more Broncos than the hardtop company can make hardtops. So, with the whole 2022 options, we're probably going to get a nice red, a new red. We're definitely getting a new yellow. We're getting at least one green. Gonna probably get definitely getting a black top and maybe a white top, quite possibly a white top. And we might get a Heritage Edition, and no matter what, it looks like very strong chances we're getting either a Raptor or a Warthog model. So all reasons to wait. And the last reason to wait is Heck, they're going to have a chance to fix the tiny quirks with the model. Now, I don't expect any issues or any modifications that engineers will make to the motor and transmission. At least the automatic transmission, because the automatic transmission, the 10-speed, has been around for a while now at Ford. They started using that 10-speed transmission back in 2017, so there's nothing new there. And, the manual is an unknown factor, and then the rest of the vehicle is an unknown factor. So they will work out the few quirks that probably will arise with the model. So that's a good reason to want to wait for a 2022. So with all this, we might get this color or we might get this interior, and then we have strong chances of this or that. I feel more like a weather reporter than anything, so I'm going to skip all the things we might get and the things we are definitely getting for 2022, and I'm just going to summarize this all up. You might want to wait for a 2022 because of the time frame. If you're near the end of your dealer's allotments, and even if you have a soft top, but you're at the end of the allotment list, your Bronco might be getting built in November, which means you could be getting it in mid or even late December. And do you really want a 2021 Bronco delivered to you in December? Well, obviously, if you're going to keep it more than 8 years, it's really not an issue. But if your goal is to kind of swap Broncos every 1, 2, or 3 years, I highly recommend that if you are near the end of that 2021 allotment list at your dealer, because that's the real important part in all this, is what's going on at your dealer and where are you on that allotment list. Well, I highly recommend that you ask to have a 2022. Now remember, you don't lose your spot in line. If you're near the end of the 2021 list and you ask to be pushed into a 2022, well, great news. You're going to be one of the first 2022s built. However, for me, I've done the soft top. I'm going to be getting a Bronco as soon as I possibly can get my hands on mine. I'm not willing to, sacrifice for certain things, but please, do consider the soft top. The hard top's definitely an issue. So up and coming, of course, I'm going to be covering more Bronco content. I'm going to be covering some Mustang content as well. I'm working on the whole flip project to see, do I still have it to make money flipping cars? Now, I don't want to flip boring cars, so for now it's a Mustang. I'm almost done fixing it up, so it should be for sale after I've had a little fun with it. And of course, I am going to continue with car reviews. I'm going to have a Performance Pack 1 Mustang. I had started reviewing it, but it got sold, and it turned out that it was actually, I had to cut my test drive short because it turned out that it was my pa who bought the Mustang. So what can you do? I just got to convince them to lend me the keys so I can finish that video. But that's going to be coming up soon. And of course, whenever I can get my hands on something a little more exotic for a review, I certainly will try and keep you posted and keep that coming. So stay tuned, like and subscribe to help me out. And, if you want to continue staying up to date with Bronco content, helpful Bronco content that just isn't me regurgitating whatever big media said, really, I do make sure that I do look at what the big media news is, but then I really compare that to what's going on in the trenches. And I bring that to you with the goal of helping you out. Hey, my goal is that we can have as many of us in Broncos as soon as possible, because I'd much rather be off-roading with some Bronco people than with some Jeep people that might give me a little bit of a hard time, a little ribbing, you could say, or that I might be tempted to give them a little ribbing. As promised at the end of the video, I'm gonna stick right to this solid car truck advice, and it's just good general advice. So stay tuned, it's coming right up. Well, I hope it's self-evident to everybody that you should not get a tattoo that says I am the man or I am the best, because in both cases, it's probably not the case. Just like stickers on vehicles, you shouldn't have to get a sticker that says I am a truck. It's overcompensating. The same applies if you have a 158 horsepower sports car and you get a sticker that says muscle car. It's not a muscle car. Your sticker is overcompensation and just makes you look bad. And that also goes for horsepower stickers. these things don't make your vehicle look better. It just looks like a bad case of overcompensation. So for all you out there who are going to be getting a Bronco, please, do not put down how much horsepower your Bronco has. We all know it has a lot. It's not going to look great. If you don't agree with me, put it in the comments, and I'd love to hear more about in the comment section where people are at with their Bronco build, because this helps us all out. Let us know if you're going to switch for a 2022 by asking your dealer to do that, and remembering to switch your options, about 6 months down the road so that they don't build you the wrong Bronco.